Welcome back, everybody, for this ending of the morning session of our workshop, our 4-day workshop on strengthening European identity through culture and education and how to manage it. The students this morning worked in workshops on several themes, a theme of leadership and a theme of how to convey the message, how to do the marketing. They will present their results and they will present it to a very competent jury. And this jury will be from Inge, Linda and Miguel. And we especially asked 2 ladies in it, so even female leadership will be part of this leadership course. And they will ask questions from maybe a complete different angle than we normally do. So the students will present for this panel and then the panel can react. Can the first group, please? Who will be first? You? Yes, please, step forward. Here's the mic.
We can keep it here, don't worry.
¿Lo coges tú?
Yeah, it works.
First of all, thank you very much to all the members of not just my group, but of every group. We now proceed to explain the work done by our group. We would like to talk about a Europe which is not made by differences, but by union. Therefore, our motto for the session is Europe is not the difference, Europe is the union, because we want everybody to take part in the unity of the union. And we'd like to emphasize it throughout all the projects. First of all, to speak about leadership, we would like to have an important leadership. Therefore, it's going to be, first of all, a shared leadership, taking into account not just one person, but a couple of people. Secondly, we want our leader to feel identified, and we also want the people to feel identified with the leader, so that there is a mutual relation of identity. Secondly, we want our Europe to, our leader to be everywhere. That is to say, we don't want just a leader which is in Brussels. We want a leader that people, as part of the union, can feel present in different parts of the union. That is to say, different towns, cities, and small villages. Then we also want our union to be inclusive. That means we want to take everyone in, no matter how they are, because that is what inclusion means for us, taking everyone to be part of our union and feel identified with it. And finally, we want our union to include all the values which are emphasized in the treaties of the European Union. Therefore, our leadership would be democratic. Secondly, we want to talk about our marketing strategy. Since we want our marketing strategy to reach everywhere of the union, for everyone to feel part and everyone to feel included in it, we would make a campaign where people would say with their own words and in their own languages to break the language barrier. We would make everyone say the word together, since it is part of our motto as well. We want everyone to pronounce the word together in different languages and show the people that they can be able to feel much closer to each other and more included in the union if they feel they are part of it, and if they feel they are included, if they feel that they are together. Finally, we've thought of an idea which is Erasmus, not just Erasmus not just Erasmus plus, but Erasmus plus plus. Which means that it is not only it's not only going to be focused on the youth, but It will be also for people of all ages, of all social backgrounds, of all origins, and coming from and having several interests. That is why we brought from 0 to 99 plus years old, because we want it to be included and we want to break the age barrier, not just the youth, not just people from other ages, but everyone, and people from all origins and social backgrounds. Finally, since this is part of a union, we want everyone to be part of it, and we want the project and all the projects and all the measures and efforts in the projects, we want them to be borderless, we want them to be limitless, and we want to break all the boundaries so that everyone feels that they are part of the union, and we can do this together. Zusammen. Cheers.
Okay, please leave it there for a moment.
Shall we keep it
Leave it there.
Oh, I wanted to keep it.
Are you ready? You're not ready yet, so I would like to ask at least 4 of the group members, I think most of them are sitting here, to be standing here so they can answer the question of the panel. So please step forward. Please, as much as possible. So the whole group. And I think the ladies should have the first questions. Yes? Okay, I will hand the microphone to the person.
So sexist.
No, yeah, definitely. Positive discrimination is also part of it, yes? So I will hand the microphone to the person who wants to answer it, which not necessarily needs to be the leader in a network, in a shared leadership. Yes? Okay, first question.
I ask one question or I ask different questions? Because I have 4, but the question is I ask
Start
one.
with the most important one.
That's what I'm trying to identify. When I look at this, I see that there is a lot of what you want in it, but I'm not so clear on how you are going to do it yet. So on the level of the leadership, for example, you say shared, identified, everywhere, inclusive, democratic. Is it one leader you want people to identify with? Is it a president you want for the European Union? And maybe also on the marketing level, you say together, but how are you going to do that together?
Who wants the microphone to answer the question?
Nobody?
Please.
Okay.
Answer from here.
Well, we are not thinking about one special leader. We are that all-inclusive, as we try to, how do you say, visibilize? Make it visibilize every single leadership in the based levels. There is not just the main figures, I mean just the president, the normal one, the daily life leaders that you can find in your neighborhood, in your school, in your work. That's in the very simple way, not just the big persons or the most important persons in Brussels. This just in the daily life.
Okay, shall I ask a question? Thank you very much. And Steve asked, where will the marketing stop and where will the education and culture come in? That was a question, and I'm very happy that you start with the identity questions and the value question and the leadership questions, and not start with the marketing. But I have the interest. What are you doing with art and culture in your idea, and what are you doing with the marketing?
Who's going to answer? Anyone? Yeah.
Maybe
I'm trying to understand the question because it's not really clear. Can you repeat the question?
Steve asked, where will the marketing stop and where will the education and culture come in? And I'm very happy that you start, first of all, to discuss with each other about the identity question, about the values. But I have an interest, where come the art and culture in your profile? Oh, sorry. Where comes it in? Where is the role of the art and culture in changing Europe? And how do you marketing this? Because that is the question of the last days. How can we be visible to the audience with art and culture? Art and culture.
It is the reason that if you look at for her, we will integrate not a government that will speak about the political only, but when you speak about the Erasmus, not only about the education, because Erasmus is most focused but about the education. It is the reason that we put the plus, not the education, but the culture. Educate, when you have someone about the 1990 or some other people, not for education, but the culture. If we need to open the Europe to try to integrate the people. Let for example, a group of those people, give them Spanish, give them the opportunity to go to French, to pass some day, learn about the culture of French, learn about the food of French, how the French eat, live. Also, the French come to Spain to learn more. It is the reason that we need a leader, not the one leader. We need more leaders can help the people integrate reality and other society. If we focus only on the young people, they only will go to the other country. They learn about when they Erasmus, they learn about the culture when they come other university. But the other people, the children, how they can learn about the culture of Europe. About the art, it is the same thing. To open the Europe for the people can travel more, not travel for only the vacation, but travel to learn more about the Europe. It is the reason that we put the Erasmus plus, not only the education, but Erasmus open more other culture, other things that can many people learn about the Europe. Or integration, or can say in integration, a real integration, and when I speak the real integration, that the integration, not the education, not the political, but a real integration for the Europe. But culture, art, politics, economic, all the things can help the people share and know about the culture or identity of Europe.
Miguel?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation and for the great job you did. And especially the end was very touching. And well, I must say that I'm very happy with the presentation you did because I can feel and I can see how European you are. How much you transmit this Europeism. But, however, I feel also, I feel very identified with everything you say. But I also feel you are like a little much too optimistic. It's a little bit the utopia you saw. Because we have to think also on the implementation on this. For instance, you say you want a leader that has to visit the different places. Yeah, now you identified that a little bit. Answer with the. So more connected with the civil society. and one of the problems sometimes is that we don't feel, is the conclusion I get from all the, you want people to be identified with leaders, you want the leaders to visit the different places and to be everywhere, so Europe everywhere. So what I feel is that you are looking for a more close Europe. You have to feel it very close to you. So that is fine. But how do you manage that? How can you develop that? I mean, did you consider, for instance, the language barriers we are having? Did you consider the time, space parameter? I mean, it's almost impossible, even if you have a few leaders that are able to travel, to be everywhere. So how can you arrange that like everywhere, especially in isolated places? Which is the channel you are going to use? Are new technologies? Is local leaders or local representatives? Because that already exists. We have the local representatives, we have the regional representatives, the national representatives, we have regional parliaments, national parliaments. Are you going to use that, or do you want to create something new, something else?
Well, first, thanks. Yes, I agree with you that is such a big challenge, but I think that we have been answering some of the questions that you are asking now. I'm going to try to go deeper, if the language barrier allows me. But well, I think that first, when we talked about leadership, she was quite clear that this is completely a new, different leader than we have nowadays in the European Union. We all agreed that it must be a woman, the leader of the European Union, right now to change how the things are. And the idea will be a completely different leader than we have now. Now what we have, an old politician who is white, and it has been always the same. So the more we can change, the better. That on the one side. On the other side, take to that leader, giving him less responsibilities and to give more responsibilities to leaders all around Europe. Yes, to split and to diverse the work, so the people who are closer to their leaders feel more represented with Europe. We have that now, but these entities that represent the European Union in all the cities don't represent this image of Europe. Represent the Europe that we have now, that they don't feel included in that. That's why we want to change the view. We can use that institution that we have now, but with this completely different idea. That's in one side. Also, the Erasmus++, I think that it will be great, a great way, because Erasmus has shown that has been the best way of uniting Europe. I think that the results are wonderful, and that assures that Europe has a great future. Now, to solve the problem that we have now, we propose to link, for example, agricultures from Italy, bringing here to Extremadura, to see that they are the same, they work the same, they share the same values, to see that, to feel that, to take people from here to Romania, for example. And so they all see that they share the same values, they are the same, they are all Europeans. That's our way to link. So that will be quite the new thing. And also in the media, she was really clear, I think. This strategy, really short, really consists that together, all together, in all languages, but all together. And in the limits of marketing, yes, limitless, borderless, the only limit is together. Yes, that we do all together with no discrimination. I don't know if I answered my question.
Yeah. Yeah. You did it. You did it. I raise more questions in my mind, but we don't have too much time, so we can discuss that on the coffee. But thank you very much.
Okay. Great, thank you. Next group, please.
More women.
Can you all focus on one question?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, like the others, you're with a team, you're with a group, shared leadership, please come forward.
Should we take that down, or?
You can put it over it. Where's the tape? Where's the tape?
No, you two stick together when we take it over.
Oh, we could use the same tape. Yes. There we go.
Yeah, you use the same.
We could.
See, you want to give it, take it now.
Okay, this second group. Thanks a lot to the first group, and I really like the idea of shared leadership on all levels. So I less liked the idea of only a female leadership. Okay. Yes, who will be the representative?
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emperatriz, and so my colleagues and I, as young European citizens, were discussing our vision of the European Union today. And it is as important to know what we want things to be like as it is to be aware of the problems present. Therefore, our working method was through an analysis of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats that we believe European Union faces today. So we observed there's a lack of communication from the top levels to the local levels. And we think that might be because of a lack of willingness of the political groups to educate the community. We were talking about our personal experiences, and sometimes at school, what you learn from European Union, is just one topic, the textbook, and you go through it as if it was nothing. And then there's also a lack of mutual acknowledgement of the culture and history of member states to one another. Like, if we ask ourselves what we know about other countries, it might be very little, as it would be ideal. And then there's also a lack of opportunity, not a lack, but unequal opportunities due to social and economical aspects of each country that might go to a separation rather than a union. But then all those, let's say, weaknesses can promote the threats that we thought are, for example, unemployment for some or quite a great majority of the countries in the European Union. Then also we were discussing related to the identity, an example of lack of identification of young people with Europe would be the sad cases of people that leave Europe and join armed groups that fight against what Europe is supposed to be, that is unity and diversity. But then we think those problems are not such great threats and weaknesses, because we have great strengths and opportunities. And those are the ones we wrote here over the Europe map. And so there's social and political integration, if we take a look back 60 years ago, we've come along a long road. And, well, it is started from an economical aspect, but then it has come to a social integration, because we don't all just have a common market, but there is also a welfare state in almost all of our member states. And the culture, well, that's something we've been discussing all these days, and we do share a culture, European culture, and one of the opportunities that is bringing that to us is, for example, the Erasmus program and all the mobility programs. We wrote Erasmus because it might be the most representative, but all the mobility programs through young people and not so young people are making them come together and share their views of life in Europe or all over the world. And there's always a common ground that we have the same views, or we want to fight for a united world, not just a continent. And yeah, so then also European Union makes an important body in international cooperation and mediation in conflicts with all other countries and outside the European Union. And well, it might come to your attention that we wrote here Brexit, that we believe it's not a threat, but not now a threat, but an opportunity, because it's making conversation come to local ground, not just the top levels. And it can make us think of our situation and look for solutions to the future. Well, not the future, but the present. So we do believe that European Union is worth it. Thank you.
No, I think in function of shared leadership, I think he should start now. I should give him the opportunity to.
You can give the microphone
So,
to whoever you think should answer the question.
So thank you very much for the presentation and for the work done. I can see in that map you express those, let's say, this vision. Culture is still in the border. So I don't know if it is done on purpose or
no.
not.
No, it's just economy, space economy.
Okay, but I see diversity over there, so that is fine. But you made a kind of analytical entrepreneurship analysis with the SWOT analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so you draw up a little bit a situation you feel on the European Union, but I didn't see like possible solutions to improve that. At least is what I understood from your last sentence. Is like you think we are right now in a good situation. We are not that bad because we live in a welfare state. So even Brexit is not really a very big threat. We have Erasmus. We have the common market, international cooperation. So it's like I feel like for you, Europe is doing right. So we don't need to change anything. Is the leaders we have right now are okay? Do we have a good leadership nowadays in Europe?
I think the leaders
Go here, please.
The leaders we have now are voted by the people, have been voted by people. So I think what we wanted to say is that we have the tools to fight this. Yeah. So I think we wanted to say that we have tools. We just have to use them, maybe improve them, but we have to take them like an opportunity to.
Can I add to that, because I missed to, we discussed many more things, much more things than I said, but like, so through education, like I mentioned at the beginning, the lack of political willingness to make the people aware of what Europe is or what it should be, no? So there should be bigger investment on education to make it closer to the people and to the young people especially. And then we wrote here EU elections, and it's related to what she said, like it's an opportunity. People choose the leaders, and now that they are coming, there should be also an investment of making population aware of what they are choosing and that they can choose, because I don't know about numbers and the rate of voting, but I think it's not very high, or at least in young people. So that's something that leaders should invest on, and that could be, or it's a way of finding the solutions.
Thank you for your very professional marketing story. But what I was missing in this time of history, the questions. And if I see you as a group, and I see the group before, I see one leader here on the floor, and I'm missing the energy of the group. I'm critical always. I'm missing the energy of the group. And it's the same thing as missing questions. So do you debate questions in your group? Do you have questions about the future of Europe? Or is everything very, very perfect?
I think that we do not want to say that Europe is perfect, not at all. I think that actually what we were saying, as they said before, is that Europe has the tools to become something great, which is something great. It is already something great, but we can do something even better, way better. But we are kind of optimistic in that sense, because we think that we are actually on the right path. We just need we are in the direction. We just need to go for it. And yeah, no, I just with respect to what you say about the leaders, I think you hear as many leaders as members of the group you can see, and that's not the problem. We discussed everything, and of course we just had like 2 minutes to prepare the exposition, but no, there's many more than you can see right now, and I think that kind of answers the question.
I wanted to add that there was a question that we didn't put it here, and it was that does the peace exist in the European Union? Because is peace only the lack of conflict, or is peace the real integration, diversity? So that's why we didn't wrote it here, but we weren't sure. And I can't answer to this question.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really like the drawing. It's really, I like the image. And thank you for the analysis. I think that's also something which was maybe missing in the other group, you know, to identify the conflict or the issues that there are with Europe. I think I want to refer one moment to what Miguel said before about the other group, that you were too optimistic, and I don't really agree with that. And we can, maybe it's not about optimism, but I think you cannot dream too big. You know, like, yeah, you said utopistic, and I understand it, but I still think you cannot dream too big. You really have to dream big before, and I really think you should sit together and work from there, because it's really like you both fill in what the other lacks. So it's really beautiful to see that happening. But talking about dreams, what I missed is in this one is, what is your vision of the European Union? What is your dream? What do you wish for in the next years for you, for maybe your children one day? Or so, yeah, if anybody of you can answer that.
Maybe what we have learned in our generation is to be so careful with dreams. No, I mean, dreaming is always for free, but we are a generation, I think that we are between 20 and 30 years old, and we are living in a very complexity world, so nothing is yes or not. We are now in the middle of something. I mean, we have a great appointment next May with the EU elections, and we think that maybe from that point we could be able to redream our way of living. And while we are fighting against populism and crisis or unemployment, that I think is the main problem now for us, just step by step. No, great dream. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Big applause for this group, please. And for sure, Linda, art is here. I mean, if you can draw like this, then art can unite. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Next group, please. Yeah.
Another.
Oh, two even. Wow.
Ah, okay.
You arrange everything?
Yeah, sure. Aquí. Primero este. Sí. Tengo que ir aquí o ahí. Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. Well, we have to say first that we did not understand the question. So, at first, we did a short matrix, and we think we reflected about Europe, about the current Europe. What is Europe, and how is the current situation? So, you know, we thought about the weakness, the threats, the strengths, and the opportunities. We have a really long and intense discussion. Yeah, sorry. Because, for example, immigration can be considered as a threat, but also as an opportunity. So we have taken a long debate, and then we arrived at the conclusion that there are some elements that we can use to create an European identity. There are solidarity, for example, the social model of Europe for unemployment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, ecology, environment, culture and heritage, nature, security. They are the main elements of an European identity. Why? Because in other parts, for us, we assume that they are natural, they are universal, but in other parts of the world, they are simply they don't exist. The cultural conscious or the environmental sensibility. But then we reflected about that, and we saw that in Europe, the vision of Europe in the world, in the globe, the international relationships, there are hard power and soft power. The hard power, in our opinion, had failed, because Europe is not regarded as a military potential. The diplomacy sometimes is not good, and also people, they didn't know the European leaders or politicians. We know Angela Merkel, we know Macron, but we don't know, for example, who is Federica Mogherini. We don't know who is Jean-Claude Juncker. Yeah, we might know, but not in Latin America or in Africa. But in the other hand, Europe is have a very the soft power, the culture, the sport, the music is the reference in all the world. So finally we arrived to the conclusion that to sell or to export an European identity, we have to use the soft power skills, culture, music, sports, festivals. So how can we do that? There are two possibilities. Three. One would be the social media, the media and the broadcasting, common channels, Euronews, Arte, everywhere. The other would be the culture, as for example, as a European network or festival, concerts. We can go to Madrid to listen French music, or going to Berlin to listen Italian opera. It would be a nice idea. And finally, the most important one is the education. In our opinion, what we have to do is to create a subject in grammar school or secondary school, or maybe both, which would be the European culture. Mozart, Beethoven, Kafka, Cervantes, Victor Hugo, everyone. Because we cannot study the culture, a national culture, isolated. I mean, the European, the opera is Italian and German and Austrian. The realistic literature is French or Spanish, British. So I think that thought the culture about only national, had been a mistake, and we are paying now the consequences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think you took everything in account, what was asked for. So thank you very much for that. You add strengths that was necessary, I think, that wasn't in the last day mentioned, so I liked it very much, the creativity in this. So to be honest, I don't have questions at this moment. You have the media part, marketing part. First you start to be critical about the question, and I liked it very much as well. So compliment.
Thank you.
I do have a question, very concrete one actually. You said like we don't know the European MEPs. What would you suggest to a European MEP to solve that issue? What would make them more approachable or more known to you? Thank you also, by the way, for the presentation, really good.
Thank you. What do you mean with European MEP, the diplomacy?
You said like we know Merkel, we know, but we don't know Mogherini, we don't know Juncker. So there is clearly a big distinction between the European Parliament, members of Parliament, and the players in the field of the European Union, so the citizens.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on how they could?
We think it's a problem of communication. So one possible solution could be in every newspaper, create a new section, European politics. Also to study that at school, I think we have to study how Spain or Andalusian Marqués or Extremadura function. So we can add a unit about Europe and also say which the current president is Jean-Claude Juncker. And I think the institutions they need to arrive to the common citizen, not the universitarian upper class citizen, also to the common people. So they have to use social media, television, everything to arrive to the other Europeans that they ignore them. They have to do the effort to arrive also.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation. Oh, sorry. You want to ask something? Take that.
Well, we also saw in our discussion that we only know about, especially in high school or maybe primary school, about institutions and how the polity of the European Union is, it works. And we think it's time to focus on culture. So we see leaders more in that background. Not in the actually also because now we are facing a political crisis. So maybe it's not the time for politicians to be in the first line, but for our artists, poets, and especially we thought about the people from the countryside to connect to that people who doesn't feel represented in the institutions and in the members of parliament. That was that. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you very much for the presentation. I really like it. I cannot be concrete. I never concrete. So I cannot have a concrete questions. But well, first of all, I appreciate the sincerity at the beginning of you didn't understand the question. Well, great. You didn't understand it, but you gave a great answer. So that is very good from your side. And I also appreciate the SWOT analysis. My feeling is that you complement each other. I mean, every group complement each other, and it's quite curious how you are working on the same topic, and you didn't really did the same. So I think the three presentations are complementing a lot each other. But what I really like a lot from yours is that for me it was like a political campaign from the cultural and education side. So you were like making you were in an election campaign, trying to say how you will solve the problems. You identified very well the problems, and you were giving solutions for each problem in the way you will do it by putting culture and education like main pillars. So it showed me that in some way there is another way of doing the things. My question will be, do you think the system we have right now is ready for that? I mean, the way we are working right now at the European level is ready for that, or we should switch it completely or a little bit?
We think that we are not ready to solve all of these things. We need to change a lot of things. We need to make a very big change between the institutions, the countries, the way of the direction. But nowadays, I think that we need to make a big change to make front to the things. We are on the right way, but we are not ready yet, I think. Well, we think, sorry.
Well, thank you very much, first of all the groups for the presentations, and second, of course, please a big hand for our panel of today, Inge, Linda, Miguel. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we are ready for lunch now. So see you in 1 hour for the next session. 45 minutes lunch.
45 minutes, otherwise.